Throw something at the booth.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting, conservation meeting of January 14th to order at 7:01. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Erica, could you call a roll call, please?
Here.
I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it. Jeff Goldbaum?
Here.
Fred Helton?
Yep.
Val Shelton?
Here.
Jim Bergeron?
Aye.
Bruce Becker?
Here. Fred. Open up for public comment, if anyone has questions. Apparently not. Oh,
Well, I would just like to introduce the staff from Boy Scout Troop 2. I got to come up to the podium even? Yes, sir. I'd like to introduce the scouts from Scout Troop 200. We meet weekly at the American Legion. They're working on their citizenship and the community merit badge. And one of their requirements is to attend one of the town assemblies, town meeting or another venue where town policy is made. We've selected the Conservation Commission to come and visit because we're very active with the Conservation Commission, and we think this is a very good opportunity for the Scouts, and they thought this was a good opportunity for them, and we appreciate you hosting us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for coming. Mr. Chinberg, would you like to make your presentation again?
Yes, I would like Jeff Clifford to make it again.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna, this might not be good for the board. For the TV, but I had to bring an easel because last time we were in a much more informal setting. But
Right.
what I'm here for is that we've made an application for the Newmarket Mill to for the wetlands permit for some impacts that'll be not directly to the to wetlands associated with the mill project, but within the 100-foot tidal buffer zone that's under the state's jurisdiction. And what this project falls under is because it's redevelopment of a site, not a site that's a greenfield type site. It qualifies for the minimum impact expedited application, which is the process where we come to the Conservation Commission first with the application, and if you agree with our application, you sign it, and then it goes to the town clerk. If it doesn't go underneath the minimum expedited application, if you don't agree, then we submit it to the as a normal permit that would go to the town clerk, and then it would come back to you again for comments, and then it would go to the state with or without comments from the Conservation Commission. So that's the way the process works. You may or may not be familiar with it. Some, not a lot of permits go minimum expedited in some communities, some a lot do. So in any event, that's the process and why we're here. In the last meeting, we did explain the project, and I will go through it again. But quickly, I know some of you are very familiar with what happened at the mill applications this summer. We went to the planning board on several occasions, got a special use permit on August 11th for the use of the site, which is proposed to be 120 residential units plus 36,300 square feet of non-residential use. Includes 4,500 square feet of public space, 5,000 square feet of live workspace, and 25,000 square feet of remaining non-residential space. Excuse me. We also, after we got the special use permit, we went to site plan approval. And after probably 8 meetings with the planning board and technical review committee, which was very beneficial to the project, we got site plan approval on October 27th. But it was part of the conditional approval that we got was a comment that we need to have our state permits, and it was identified that some of the work was happening within 100 feet of the tidal buffer. Now, some of that work, what it does include is the mill buildings, is the library, is the Riverdale Automotive. There's paving that happens here. The purple is what we've identified as areas that are within 100 feet that we'll be doing some sort of work that would involve moving dirt or and so that area that's in purple is being repaved. Down at the waterfront, we're doing some interesting things. There's a waterfront park that was part of the proposal and to redevelop the mill and negotiate with the town about what some of the rights that would be for fishing and access to that area. In this area, there's it's covered with poison ivy right now, and what we'd like to do is just make that a lawn area and just clean it up so it'll be more attractive from both sides, and also seasonally it would allow fishing to that area, and that was one of the things that came up during the planning board. We're doing some putting in hooded catch basins in a water quality inlet device to better treat stormwater from the site. And that was all reviewed by the town's engineering consultant. Let's see, there's actually a reduction in the impervious area on the site because of some of the green space we're adding. I mean, most of the site had been, well, it all was an industrial site, so it had, much of it was covered with paving, but because we are putting some green space in various locations, it did decrease the impervious. Let's see if I covered most of that. That covers what we're proposing. I'm certainly willing to ask questions, but what we'd be seeking tonight is signatures, if the board agrees. So on our application, we then take the page that if you so sign it, we then reassemble everything, and then that gets again submitted to the town clerk, and the process moves forward to the New Hampshire DES. So with that, I'd open it up to any questions.
One other question. I know we spoke last month with the partial meeting. While that area is going to be regraded, do you have plans for a filtration? I know it's kind of hilly and drains down.
Yeah, along the waterfront, there's we call for a silt area.
Okay. It'll be
And
right out.
a lot of times, we either use silt fence or these tubes that are filled with what are they filled with? Like bark mulch, or they're just a core log, C-O-R-I, C-O-I-R log that can be used to filter any stormwater from the area.
The drainage basins, we're going to be some kind of a filtration also? Is
Well,
that
they're
what you
hooded
mentioned?
catch basins, and what that does, it provides, just so the water doesn't go in and out immediately. It's over the outlet of the pipe is this fiberglass unit that comes down, and it goes below the invert of the pipe. And what that does is if there's any oil sheen or floatables, plastic cups or whatever, they stay on the top.
Mhm.
And the oil sheen will break down over time, so it's not like you have to go out and pump it out every week or so. And then the floatables would be removed when the catch basins are cleaned. Now the catch basins will be cleaned typically every year. We've got matter of fact, one of the things that was negotiated was that even the catch basin that's on the adjacent property, Rivermore's property, was agreed to be cleaned as part of this application that was made. So that's all part of the planning board approval. It's on the drawings, all the notes.
The basins will drain into the river?
Well, there is a drainage system that goes to the river.
And
right?
it goes into the river,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
So it's,
So all the water gets there eventually.
You might want to comment that it does now, but there's no filtration or catch basins.
it's gonna be improved.
Right.
Is the roof runoff channeled anywhere in specific, or is it just
Well, we had
wherever it comes?
discussions about that, planning board, and with the planning board's engineer. One of the things you don't, try not to do with stormwater treatment is take cleaner water and mix it with dirtier water. So you actually get better treatment if you take all the dirty water and get dirtier water and get it together. There's mechanics of that and just logic of it too that makes sense. So what we talked about is taking the roof water and not going into the water quality inlet. Because what that does, it can flush through, resuspend whatever solids have been settled out already. The roof is a very benign UPM, direct UPM roof. So you're not getting metals coming off of it. So there's not much pollutant load at all coming off the roof. So it bypassed the system.
I think you might want to comment too, Jeff, that the catch basins, it was negotiated that it would be an increased frequency on twice a year as opposed to once a year. And then just to clarify your comment about the lawn area between the mill building and the riverfront, there was also the planning board requirement that was the applicant agreed to, that would be native grasses. It would be maintained, I believe it's just a few times a season.
Right.
It's not a manicured lawn area that would.
Right, and there was a
there's
restriction on
use of
fertilizers and
correct.
pesticides.
And the same with removing the vegetation that you're going to be removing, the poison ivy and brush and whatnot. You won't be using sprays, or you'll be mechanically removing it, or
Right, and mechanically removed. Yeah.
It would all have to fall under the DES regulations.
One thing I just want to clarify too is that under the shoreline zoning, which you're probably familiar with, this portion of properties abutting the river are actually exempt from the shoreline zoning, but it falls underneath the wetlands permitting. Now, if it had fallen under the shoreline zone, what you end up with is you still have to get your wetlands permit. So that zone, it's a wetland permit, and then beyond it is the shoreline zone. So it gets cumbersome for these redeveloped sites, and I know a number of communities that have mill sites and stuff that got that exemption for previously developed properties.
But that's a good point, because what we did on the planning board was, even though this property is exempt from the shoreline regulations, we made the application and project conditioned upon certain sections of them applying to this project, such as the herbicide and pesticide use, within a certain amount of feet of the water.
Right, so my experience with getting a shoreline permit, we did what we would have had to do anyways.
George, you have any questions? Jeff?
The only other thing I think was mentioned last time that you haven't mentioned tonight, Jeff, is the area between Main Street and the mill building closer to Main Street is another area that was going to be cleaned up. And
Yeah,
then-
it's not part of the permit, but we are cleaning this up here, this area up here, which it's down low, so it doesn't have never gotten much attention. We're putting in,
On a site.
again, a similar grass that would be able to be only mowed, 3 times a year or something to clean it up. But because there will be, tenants in there that would be very interested in keeping it cleaned up, that's the approach we're taking.
During the renovations of the exterior of the building, do you anticipate any sandblasting outside, or?
I'm going to defer to Eric, no, on the outside.
lead paint removal.
There isn't anything on the outside that we know of.
Oh, good.
And probably another comment about the waterfront park, which is a public park. The regulations will be similar to Shanda Park, was also part of the application conditions.
Yeah, there was a requirement to have no dogs.
Mhm.
That's part of the leasing? No dogs?
The
Well,
part, this is a public use park.
in the park itself.
Right, okay. I guess the question goes, do you have a place to walk the dogs that are gonna be in the apartments? Instead of on park properties?
There's a group of people trying to create a dog park for Newmarket. I don't know where they're at right now with it, but they are kind of investigating that. If that
And
helps.
Heron Point's open,
Across the street.
right, that you go
Well,
across
river, I
the,
should say.
over the bridge and over to Heron Park.
Jim, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Val?
Those were, I just wanted to clarify that, you know, being,
So you're looking for us to sign this tonight,
Right.
correct?
And basically, what I'd like to do is to vote, is to sign these, so I have multiple copies.
And these copies are for us, correct?
Right. And then you'll get another one back that has a signature also of the town clerk.
Somebody wants to make that.
What does the motion need to be? That we
To
agree to the...
agree to this and sign the application so they can go move forward.
Sure. Well, I'll make a motion that we sign the minimum impact expedited application that's been submitted to us.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I bother you to sign
I think we can do that right now, can't we?
this line right there?
Thanks for coming twice.
yeah, sorry
Just
about
that one spot?
Yeah, just that one spot, but all, several of them there. They like to have the forms for this particular permit read. I'm hoping that that means it comes to the top of the pile.
Thanks, everybody.
You had no, I'm gonna wait for that, so I'll take that with me.
Oh, I'll take this out. Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Was it?
Hope that was exciting.
That was.
Jeff, do we need more than one signature or witness or anything like that? Just one enough?
Just one, just one. You're the-
I'm the chair. All three?
I was hoping you could sign all of them, yeah, because they're all green and they all could be inserted into the application, so sorry to hold up everything.
Okay, come back a second time now.
Me personally, I just look forward to a positive change in those buildings in that area down there.
Well, one of the things that Eric's not here, but is that they're doing some demolition work and some work on the inside, and they're already seeing a drop in the vandalism. It's been a big deal. It had been accelerating. But now that there's activity, they're seeing a drop, and it's really important because he, in Somersworth, he actually had buildings burned twice up there, no buildings. So it can be a real problem. But no, it's great to be moving forward. And as an outsider, I come here maybe 2 or 3 times a year, you know. I'm always amazed how pretty it is down there. You just forget.
Yeah.
This can only help.
Yeah.
I guess we're losing our telephone poles here in a week or two. So that should make a big
Yeah, most of the
difference.
wires are down.
I saw
Yeah.
that, yeah. Okay, great, in the file. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for the audience.
You're not gonna do that, okay.
That was a biggie. Get done. Well, hoping, I will just go over what Sharon was here for at the last meeting. And I told her I would do. Okay, next on the list was Sharon Meeks,
Meeker?
Elra?
Meeker,
Meeker. That's Meeker.
Meeker.
I think I have that spelled right someplace. I'm sorry. Sorry, Sharon. She came to us to ask if she could, I have it right here, if they could use part of our kiosks at the Shander Park. And since it's the end of the, when the Lamprey River goes to salt, I have pictures of what they have in Epping along the river, and they have a little write-up about Mary Folsom Blair Park on that one, which they would probably change to something about the Shannon Park. Why don't you just, I think, Drew, I think you saw that, but I'm not sure that everyone else has. I thought where it was, I thought that was a great idea. I think I spoke to them about not taking up the whole front of it, probably half of it. And,
Well, I don't have a problem with what they're doing. I mean, it's just,
what would the reasoning be, if it's an informational kiosk, and if they're going to put up all the information about the Lamprey River, and then having maybe something about Shanda Park, or why it's named Shanda Park, why would we want to have to then maintain the other side of the other half?
I didn't know that
clarification
we
why.
might want to have something installed on that also. That's why, that's why I'm here to ask you to find out what your feelings are there. First, do we want to have them do that? Do we want to limit the size? I just want to get your input here.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
can I kind of rephrase a little bit, Bruce?
Yeah.
What I heard from Sharon at the last meeting was, she came and she said, we have a number of kiosks along the Lamprey River. What we try to do is highlight, we try to have a map up that shows the extent of the Lamprey River, and then, mark, okay, this is where we are on the Lamprey River, and then try to highlight, okay, what are the, what's important about where we are on the river on each one of these kiosks. And she said, we're looking for something towards the end, and when they came to the Heritage Festival, they saw, hey, there's already a kiosk here, it's not being fully utilized, could we, do something to better utilize the kiosk? And she said, we're very interested in working with you in any way, shape, or form to get the kiosk back up, because at the time when they saw it, the construction was still going on down there and the kiosk wasn't even up. She said, so yeah, help get it back up, and then, populate it, so to speak. And seemed reasonable to me. She didn't have anything specific other than, okay, generally we have a map that shows the whole river and where you are, and then try to highlight, the local area, so to speak.
Based upon the information that was passed, that was emailed around, and on some of the samples, it seemed to be similar to what we did with the Wigan Farm, to have this informational kiosk. So my question was more geared to why we wouldn't want them to do the whole kiosk.
well, that's what I'm asking. Do we want, two questions. Do we want to allow them to do that? Yea and nay? And do we want to limit the size? Yeah.
well, I don't think we're really doing anything with it, so if
That,
they want to improve it, I have no problem with that.
And they're looking to work with us as
Yeah,
much as
right.
anything. I mean, that was my interpretation of
Did
it.
they want funding also? I
No, they
I don't
haven't.
think so, I think they have it, yeah. I think they have funding in there.
What Val, I don't know if Val.
No, I did see that, it was emailed. but I-
It was.
Do
So
you need
what's-
a motion for that?
Well,
Well, I would make a motion that we, that we work with, it is through LRAC, isn't it? Yeah, through LRAC to allow them to install graphic materials on the Shanda Park kiosk, subject to final approval by the Newmarket Conservation Commission.
Second that.
Well, final approval of the design materials.
okay, I understand. All right, now I understand that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Really nerve-wracking out there, isn't it? Okay, so I will call Sharon. And email her or call her and say it's a go. Come up with some plans, and then she can bring it to the next meeting that she's ready with. Okay. Moving right along. Okay, now if anybody remembers the October 8th minutes, we need to get them approved.
Make a motion that we approve the October 8th Conservation Commission minutes.
I'll second
as
that motion.
Written.
Any corrections? Anybody see?
You look good.
My name is spelled out. But that's okay.
Would you like to amend it to have your name changed to the proper spelling?
No, that's okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along. Treasury report, if you would.
Well, as you can see, the Treasury report hasn't changed significantly, except for the fact that we've made a few expenditures. Could you enlighten me as to what the Ag-Isle promotions was? Was that the
If I had to guess.
boat?
No. Val, is that
I think-
where you went for the gifts to Rich?
That's
Richard?
correct.
Okay.
So that was the fly box and,
No, that's way too much money for that.
Does anybody
That was,
remember what that was? That had nothing to do with,
because you have the plaque up above that for,
it was, I think that was an all-inclusive, because it was a reimbursement to myself. So that was for both the plaque and the box.
That 11150, okay, so,
It had nothing to do with the Heritage Festival expenditures?
Oh, did
I don't believe so.
Pauline, did she have to do anything for our, did she expend any money for?
Oh, you know what that is? That's the shirts and hats.
Ah,
There
okay,
you go. That makes sense
I
too.
think that's what
Okay.
that is.
yes.
Okay, so the New England barricade was the sign for the Loisel property out by the road.
Correct.
And Boss
Boss
sign was the
signs.
trail markers for Loisel that are still sitting in my garage waiting to be nailed to trees. We have about 1,000 of those wooden nails now. It makes sense to buy a quantity with them. You know,
Well, yeah.
Pretty much the same price for 100 or 1,000.
Yeah, I'm sure once they make them up, it's the
Um,
printing, right? The Jeff Fay, that is the boat.
Oh, okay, there, that's good. And fences unlimited, two $1,400 expenditures were
That was
for the
Loisel.
split rail fence at Loisel.
Which looks very nice.
Yeah, I like the.
Did you give Ed the heads up that the section does open up so they can get the?
I did. And I don't know if Mr. Saltonstall was informed of that. I certainly didn't contact him myself, but I double checked by driving there, and the rails of the fence lift off. And when we had it installed, that was discussed with the installers, that they just kind of rest in place, and you just remove them, you can drive his tractor through and access the field.
Great.
That, I just want to comment, that's a great value for providing the boat for the Heritage Festival. And for the
well,
number of people
Jeff-
to get out on the river.
A friendly deal you get every year?
Yeah, well, I give them a lot of money
He
every year.
pays
But-
dearly for that.
Well, thank you, Bruce.
What he does, in effect, he charges us for 1 day's rent. And he gives us a day free, and we pick it up on Friday and bring it out Monday, so we actually have it for 4 days. And
Well,
this year, he donated the gas also.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, how many trips did we make this year?
15.
15, okay.
15.
And we have at least 15 people on each one, right? More like 20?
10, 12, 14.
Yeah. It was a good turnout considering the weather.
The Heritage Festival, we give boat trips down the river to the
So
beginning of the river.
so I'm going to do some,
We would have done more if it weren't for the tide
right, the tide was probably not.
and the weather Sunday.
But if you said 15 people per boat ride and 15 rides, that's 225, I think, if I can do my basic.
Yeah.
15 stretching it.
Stretching it. Yeah, 15, the boat kind of gets wet.
Yeah. We were running like
All right, let's say
10 adults
Still-
and
still
4, 5, or
100
6 kids.
Sure, let's say 150 people conservatively.
Oh, yeah.
It's less than $2 a person, that's a pretty doggone good deal.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any questions about the report?
Speaking of the boat, I want to thank Wynn for going above and beyond, going up and helping me get the boat, bringing it back, and manning it all weekend. Thank you
The
again.
skipper.
It really added to the success of the river trips.
What's the miscellaneous revenue? What does that include?
I believe that, well, that's a good question.
Did we get any current use?
Well,
No.
I don't think we've got that. I just
Is-
noticed it. you
Is
know,
that
it's
from
like,
the rain barrels and,
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, could
That's a
be.
big number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Well, we
didn't
sold
Pauline
it.
sell the lot to Scammon? It's out of the inventory?
I don't believe so. She never said anything to me
I
about
think that.
I'll check with
Composters or the
Don
rain
that.
Parnell.
I
barrels?
hope not.
I mean, it's good that we got revenue, but
Yeah, we should
I'd
double
rather
check
have
on
them in
that. 'cause-
stock for
I'll
people in town than selling them to.
Mhm.
I hope that's not what she did.
contact Don Parnell and email you about what that specific number is, but I would imagine it's from those. I can't think of any other thing we've sold. T-shirts and hats. I don't think it would come to $2,000.
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Maybe
But
we
the
maybe we
rain
should get an
barrels, the
inventory update of
scrap
that.
buckets, and the compost.
I know
May
Fred
have.
in previous meetings has mentioned that he had been receiving checks and giving them
Yeah.
to the town finance person, so I would imagine that's what that is. Well, I'll
And
double
at the
check.
time, he did give us a semi printout.
A little report,
Yeah, and that, we had that a few months ago. so.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right up with that.
It might even
And
be
that's
in the
probably
notes.
just what that is. Interest earned, that's kind of. Speaking with Ed, just, I don't know if he talked to you about the budget.
Oh, no, not specifically for the Conservation Commission.
Well,
I think it was similar to last year,
It was
wasn't
1,700.
it? 1,070 or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of money.
Put that back in, and that'll go towards paying for incidentals and minute keeping and that type of thing, so he's gonna leave that in there.
Okay.
Great, thank
So
you,
I'll find out about that.
Yep, and the Shanda Fund is still there, and
Yeah.
Did
still
the
have money.
granite posts that were approved get installed?
They did not before the ground froze. I know we had approved that, and I still have the quote, and once spring rolls around again, we got a lot of work on different properties, but that was definitely a priority. And also the 2 picnic tables, we never really,
Those weren't approved.
no, we've discussed them.
The 1368, has that been contracted for? Because that's what was voted on,
for the
for the
granite
granite posts?
post, that's in that $2,800, so when thinking about,
No, the $2,800 was just for the fence at Loisel.
no, this 2847
In our balance.
for
Oh,
Shanda
oh,
Fund.
oh, okay, I understand.
That is the total
So
that's there.
have the granite posts been ordered and
No.
you're waiting for installation this spring?
I have not ordered them.
Okay.
I'm sure when you order them, you'll need to give a deposit.
I will, and usually that company requires 50% down before they'll install.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. So,
Thanks, good citizens.
Thank you for having us tonight.
thank you for taking the time.
So yeah, in the spring when you get back.
Yeah,
on
it's already
track-
been okay, so.
Yeah, I just fell through the cracks this year.
Yeah, you seem to have the number on
From our minutes, last meet, October minutes. So we just need to be careful not to give away more than below 1,500.
Mhm.
Or if we do the picnic tables, that's what we have
Right.
remaining in that fund.
And
Unless we
where
move
did
money
we end
from
with the
the-
picnic tables? You were gonna get,
I
well,
actually.
let's do that other business.
Yeah, okay, that can be nuanced.
We'll move along. Okay. Other committees. Planning board?
Planning board. I was not present for the December planning board meeting. The same week I wasn't here for Conservation Commission.
Right.
But just in reviewing those meeting minutes and just to report in, the Hickory Pond project on Ash Swamp Road and Grant Road, that was extended through June 9th of this year. They're working on the agreements for stormwater management system, and they're getting all the DES permits in order. So the planning board voted to extend that subdivision application conditional permit approval. The other item of note for relative to the Conservation Commission was the Nature Conservancy was before the planning board for the we'll call it the Smith property 152 that they acquired, and for the gravel pit reclamation plan, which again was a condition of that permit. That needed to be, the plan needed to be submitted to the planning board and accepted by the end of March of this year. The conditions on that approval of the application by the planning board was that they would provide information sheets about the pesticides that were going to be used to remove the invasive species, that there'd be a public notice about burning, of the removal of the vegetation, and there'll be posting of signs during the application of the pesticides. So as part of that reclamation of that area and the reestablishment of this wildlife habitat reserve, they will be removing a lot of invasive species. They'll be replanting slopes along the abandoned gravel pit.
That's the meeting you missed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is all coming out of their meeting minutes.
This meeting was
follow up.
2 days before our meeting was supposed to happen. So I went to the meeting just so that we could keep an eye and information flowing. And, I mean, they had all their stuff in order. And part of the gravel area, the removal area, they're going to leave as is because it happens to be a good topography for the nesting of some of the birds in the area.
And the turtles, there's a big turtle habitat.
Turtles also, so. A lot of the gravel pit is gonna be reclaimed, but certain sections that are right for the birds and turtles are gonna be left the way it is, so. And it's been that way for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's a grandfather pit, it's been abandoned for several years. Their goal is to have everything completed by the end of October
I
this
think
year.
the big thing was they're gonna clean up some of the cutting pile or
That's what would be
wood
burned,
piles
all
they're gonna
the old
clean up
wood and the brush. And
get rid of that, which seems like a heck of an idea to me. So.
the
I
only
can-
up, I'm sorry.
Well, I just kind of gave them blessings from the conservation, since it was before the meeting and I couldn't see putting off something like that. So, hopefully we covered everything we needed. Okay, sorry, Bill.
No, I apologize. The other item of note would be that the planning board also received a letter from the Lamprey River Watershed Association, similar to one the Conservation Commission did, looking for support. And there's no, I have no knowledge, it's not in the minutes, whether or not they voted to, there's nothing in the minutes saying one way or another whether they voted to issue that letter of support for that. And there really isn't anything before the planning board that I know of, you know, relative to our next meeting minutes that is affecting the Conservation Commission. Schinberg is before us for redevelopment of one of the floors of the mill. He has a potential tenant evidently. So he's looking to do a commercial use of, I believe it's the floor that's right at the same elevation of Main Street.
Oh, great. Getting back to the Lamprey River watershed, I know we touched base on it. They wanted to, this is the one I'm thinking of, right? That they
It's the
want
same
to
letter that
extend
they, yeah.
the scenic river part to the, not only the river, but all its tributaries. And I asked for a little bit more specific information on what it would do to the properties. We didn't send a letter of support because the meetings weren't, was in 4 people, so I didn't want to take that responsibility without everyone here. But we should talk about that in the business, okay?
And again, it doesn't appear that there was any action taken by the planning board relative to that.
I think they're just looking for support. Every letter they get to sign on probably helps them in their quest for that. But I just wondered when they added tributaries to the river, what that does to landowners and what you can do on your land. I know it's going to put some restrictions, so I thought we should have more information than we have.
I have had some discussions with Diane Hardy. We are trying to get things moving forward on modifications of some of the existing ordinances relative to the water-related resources, aquifer protection, agricultural use around wetland areas, updating our shoreland overlay district and wetland overlay zoning districts to better match some of the current state regulations. So a lot of things that were recommendations in the master plan on the water resources chapter that were high priority, and several of them will involve joint projects with the Conservation Commission. And when I say that, I mean that the Planning Board has the lead on some, but the Conservation Commission has also been identified as needing to take the lead relative to some of the protection of the water resources. So hopefully we'll be able to follow up on that, you know, through 2010 with some updated zoning ordinances.
Okay. I guess that's pretty much it there. Drew, were you able to contact the open space?
Partially.
I'll put you on the spot.
Our last meeting also did not occur because of lack of a quorum, our December meeting. We had the same problem.
With the flu going around and holidays around.
Yeah. And my understanding, I'll look to Jim to confirm this, is that the Open Space Commission has been dissolved at this point. Is that correct?
Correct, and it's kind of been melded into the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, the tree, which
And
I
the
always
tree-
thought the tree committee was
It
part of
is,
us.
but it's kind of more, it's kind of like officially our responsibility now.
Well, you were the head of that. so
Yeah, well, we need to
you
discuss
are
that,
the-
and
Well,
what
can
we want to do with
right
that.
now.
Okay.
Do we know by statute how large the Conservation Commission can be? What the RSA's allow?
7.
Yeah.
And that's where we
Is
are?
that 7 because we agreed to 7?
Plus
Or is that 7
alternates.
because of
7 by
state?
statute?
By
By
statute.
statute.
Yeah,
And we can have as
I
many
think I can
alternates.
confirm that.
As we want, correct?
I want to say 4.
Which we still have openings for 4. Bill, did you ever do a letter to become a member, or you just a member from the planning board? That's a rep. correct?
Planning board appointee.
Right, so maybe we can get you to do the letter to become a... Well, now you'd have to be how can you be vice chairman?
Well, yeah, I mean, the statute does say,
We gotta do something about that.
in a town which has a planning board, one member of the commission may also be on the planning board. So, you know, I think that's pretty fair. I don't see anything about, oh wait, through my quick reading, it looks like we can have as many alternates as we want. Alternate members may be appointed in a like manner, and when the alternate serves in the absence or disqualification of a regular member, the alternate shall have full voting powers.
So maybe it's our town, I don't know if it's called, I don't think it's called the ordinance, but charter is limiting us. And if that's the case, can we have the council revisit that to expand the commission in order to have potentially more regular members from the Open Space Commission, so that we don't keep running into problems of
Well, I
meeting
think that's whether you
quorums?
make them alternates. And then they can fill in just by, you know, if someone doesn't show up for a meeting. If George didn't show up tonight, we could say, but regular member. Alan can
Right,
fill in
regular
for him
members is
tonight,
limited to
and we
7.
make him a member for the, you know, a voting member that night.
I'm just thinking because there's a lot of great volunteers that were on the Open Space Commission. It was a really active commission, that perhaps some of them may want to be full, whatever, regular members, but they wouldn't have the opportunity because we don't have those positions available.
Right. I have suggested to the people who were on the Open Space Commission at the time of dissolution that if they were interested, they should apply to the Conservation Commission to be an alternate member. And there was some interest expressed in that.
Okay.
That would be good.
It's my understanding that we are required to have a Conservation Commission by the state, and I believe that they also stated the membership requirements. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, the RSA says,
I mean, it does specifically say 7, correct? It's not a town.
yeah, the
Okay.
commission shall consist of not less than 3 nor more than 7 members.
Oh, I'm sorry, Drew, I misunderstood you. So the number of alternates is,
Is unlimited, I
Unlimited.
believe,
The
yes.
membership is
So,
strict.
yeah,
So,
yeah, sorry about that.
We've come a long way when we have to worry about having extra members.
Indeed, that's a good thing,
well, we need some alternates, though.
yes.
The last 2 meetings really proved that out. We could have had meetings, and
Yeah, I agree.
luckily, you know, the mill development wasn't pressing, so that there was gonna be a problem that would come back.
Yeah.
But other things could have been.
yeah, it's not fair to the applicants who are having these expedited permits.
So-
They're trying to go for 30 days.
So getting alternates
There's
on board is
still-
probably one of our priorities.
It should be.
Okay, I agree.
And I thought I had one other person interested, but not yet.
So are we still discussing committee reports?
Well, yeah, because I was gonna ask you about town council, if they had anything for us.
Well, as I stated before, I think Lido Lane is now our responsibility, so I guess we're gonna have to start looking into what we want to do with that. I mean, we probably should have a plan like we have with the other properties about what's allowed and disallowed, and a management plan, and if so, who creates that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we need to make a site.
Would that be well, a site walk would be a good idea, but would that be something that Ellen Schneider would be able to create for us, or do we have someone that
I think
creates these plans when we need them?
I think Ellen would be a good source of information. I don't know that she does that.
Do they do a
If they
inventory
do-
of what the properties consist
Well-
of, and then?
She actually did that for Newfield.
She did.
Inventoried all of their town-owned conservation lands, and then drafted management plans for each of them. I believe that, and that's what she does with her company.
Mhm.
Well, we also, the Southeast Land Trust of New Hampshire did monitoring for us on 2 properties that I was going to bring up during my report for payment. I'm sure if Ellen doesn't have the information, or these people would.
Should we try to contact her and get her, what would you suggest we do now, move forward?
I think
Do
the
we have a
first
map
step.
of the place?
What's that?
Do we have a boundary map? Do we have any identifying, how do we know what the property is?
I guess that's where we need to start.
Must be a tax map, maybe, that we can get.
Oh, there is.
I'll ask
There is.
Diane.
Because of the, part of the council discussing it was, we were given that information, so.
There's certainly tax maps, now whether or
Yeah.
not
That's a
they're
good point,
accurate.
Wayne.
Yeah, whether you can
And,
read them.
and, yeah,
And if you can read
and if you can find the markers.
So we need to
Yeah.
topography also, correct?
What was
Well,
that?
We'll need some sort of topography done on it to
We're gonna need something.
identify wetlands and what we have on that property. Most of it's wet. That's why it's given to us.
Yeah, right.
Should-
Because they couldn't sell it.
Well, to follow up on Wynn's point, should we at least investigate the cost of getting a survey and a wetlands map of the property? So we know what we have and there's a base to develop a management plan on? I mean, I don't mind making some calls to get,
Well-
proposals to survey it, based upon the tax map lot numbers.
All right, let's just do this.
Do we have surveys for all our other properties that are under the commission?
Oh, most of them are pretty well mapped out. The Wigan Farm, the Parent Point, they're all pretty well mapped out. Loisel property is well defined.
I imagine when we purchase these properties, are they given to
I would say yes, to answer your question. I think most of them
Or all
are either surveyed or they're, yeah, I think, yeah, the answer is yes.
So I guess the bigger question is, do we have a good inventory of all our properties, if that question's coming up?
Behind partition B.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
there's,
that's a yes too.
I mean, would it be worth having all our properties looked at just quickly, just to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row as far as, you know, have they been properly mapped and identified, and we have plans for all of them? Has that been done, or are we just?
I think that's all been done.
So,
This being a
So
new
it's just this
property,
new property.
I think we have to get some
Right.
information, like George said.
And all of us adopting one of these old properties and the new property.
Yeah.
We have to accept that.
Do you want to? That's what I was wondering.
Well, that's a good question. Perhaps we should,
I mean, it's gonna cost us money.
I guess the council's feeling was that, you know, it's excess property and the towns can't really divest themselves of because it's not really buildable. And it would be best to just, since it's a wet property, to let the Conservation Commission manage it.
And
Which gives us
Aren't we-
liabilities for cost of,
aren't we the town though? I mean,
Essentially, we're just managing it.
we're just here to make it. We don't make decisions.
I guess when you say, does it cost us money? I guess it does, but somebody's got to pay. I guess the town would have, or it's still being paid, right?
Well,
We're
it comes
just
out of a
managing
different
the property.
fund.
so maybe next year in the budget, we have to,
Well, maybe we have to add a little bit
well,
to the
we'll
budget
know at
to
that
expend.
point too, right? I mean, what kind of costs are involved with managing?
There's no tax income from it, huh? No one owns it.
It was taken for taxes.
Taken for
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how the town acquired it.
And
It's just been
I
sitting
guess
there.
it wasn't good enough property to sell.
No, it's pretty wet. There's no real access to it.
It's a paper road too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who?
Paper road.
The builder that built way back in, I don't know when it was, 60s or whatever, all those properties, they just didn't want to continue to change.
Yeah.
We
So it
explored
didn't
it for
work
some
out for a
potential-
doggy park then?
Yeah, we looked at that, and just the cost of development for something like that would be just, it'd be large. You know, you know, you have the road bed, and then it goes down like 4 or 6 feet at the entrance area that they were proposing, and it was very boggy.
Okay, well,
We
let's
had
get, should
someone look
we,
at it, and they felt that the development costs would be exorbitant.
should we do a site walk?
I think so, yes.
Is
Of course,
it-
we'd need a map of the property, and then do a site walk, right?
Right.
We do have, we do have some level of map.
I don't know if
Of
there's
the
markers
properties.
specifically that you're gonna be able to walk to, like a post here and a marker there.
There should be at least at the corners, I would think.
That subdivision was done probably 20 years ago.
More
Right.
than that.
Way more than
Yeah.
that.
When
It looks like a
Mockingbird Lane
60s
was done,
vintage type.
I'm
Yeah,
sure that
those
they marked
little condos were put in
all that stuff.
maybe
So
early
you-
80s.
You should be able to find something here, maybe a corner there.
Okay.
Here you're in the swamps, you're not gonna.
You're not
I
gonna
mean,
do that.
Yeah, I
And
don't
being-
wanna go looking for those
Is it
corners.
something we can do at this time of the year?
I was just gonna say, I think it would be the best time of year to do it because we can access
not
it.
gonna
Other than
be able to
that,
see
you're gonna
the
be wearing
mountains covered up with snow.
boots.
Yeah, markers are gonna be coming up, right?
Well, I think you might just, well, hopefully you get at least a good idea of what's there. I mean, is that what we're there for, is just to see what we have?
You can find the abutting survey plans can be easily found online if any exist. It wouldn't take too long to search and find those out.
I know a surveyor.
Do we really need to have it formally surveyed?
No.
No, okay.
He
so
could get
just-
the adjoining abutting properties, we could look up.
You could look online, to print them is not very expensive.
Drew, you were involved with our site walk at one time, weren't you, out there?
Do we need to do a site walk? What do you think?
What? Yeah.
Well, why not acquaint the other members? I mean, if you guys are interested.
I was there, you were there, he was there.
Okay.
Maybe
Ed
I was the
there.
only one that wasn't there, so.
Oh,
Val?
I wasn't.
I wasn't there. I'm
Okay.
I'm trying to
fairly
remember who
familiar
was
with
there.
the
It was
area.
It's about a
It's
year
up,
ago.
it's up to you guys, I mean,
Well, it's either gonna stay in its natural state, or we would have some kind of a management plan for that property for some other purpose. And
Well,
how would we know that unless we knew, you
Jim
know, what
Milton
was
was
the
looking
wet?
at it for recreation, but when we looked at it that time, as he says, that you stand on the road and it drops right down, you know,
5 or 6 feet.
at least.
I guess, if we manage it, do we need a management plan if it's unused?
If it's, ooh,
Well, I mean, that could be the plan, that it's a,
that's
just
just
foul.
that this is a property owned by the town, its natural state, and we might have to, you know, do a site walk on it every so often, so that there's no encroachments. Because some of, from the butters, because some of the lots are actually behind Hershey Lane
Oh, yeah.
properties.
Yep.
And that plan would also dictate how often that site walk is done?
yeah. Usually it's annual walk, which we need to do on Blaisdell property. Things didn't get done. So, you should do a site walk, get maps.
I'll forward I'm pretty sure I have an electronic copy of this map. I'll forward that to everybody.
Okay.
Were the abutters approached as far as buying their, what I'm gonna call their backland?
Not that I know of.
I don't remember that being discussed with any abutters, no.
Wheels are going around here thinking about if we did that, it could go to the fund conservation account. Since we own it now.
I mean, the town owns it.
Yeah.
We're just being,
Well, the town, this is town, so. Okay.
tree committee.
Well, wait a minute now. Do we want to do a site walk? And I thought everybody said yay.
I think
When?
that's a good idea.
I'll tell you, this weekend is booked for me, but after that, it's winter. You know, I can.
Any weekend after this next one, I'm available. And I would think sooner, before it starts melting.
Does anybody
Not that
have
it's
a
going to, but
calendar with them?
I wish it would.
When's that crystal ball?
Stay with a couple more months of this.
What is Saturday?
This coming Saturday is the 16th.
So 23rd?
23rd would be, yeah.
Would be the
next
following
Saturday.
Saturday.
I wouldn't think it would take us more than a few minutes to look at it, gab a little bit, get some ideas of what we want to talk about doing. What do you think?
Fine.
123,
I can't make the 23rd, but I've already been on it once, so.
so you got an idea what it is?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it, Val hasn't seen it. It'd be good if Drew could show us.
Yeah, I can go.
What time
What
of day?
time is good for you, Drew?
Earlier is probably better.
Mm-hmm.
8:30, 9:30, 9, what time's good?
8:30?
8:30, works for me. Is that all right? Could you, so we're relying on your expertise on this. When you forward us a map, just put on your site walk, the 23rd at 8:30,
Sure.
and I'll print that out, and everybody will have access to it. How's that sound? And then we can see what we want to do. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Do you have Jeff's email address? Yep.
Oh, it's right there on the list. Okay, tree committee? Sent you.
Well, basically, I just, I guess I just want to, I think the whole idea was to formalize it just a little bit more than what it was, which was just kind of a, I guess, what would you call it, a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission. It's
Yeah.
going to be more of just our charge, and I don't think it's going to take any great length of time to discuss it every meeting. Essentially, I think the grand plan is to create a tree warden for the state, for the town of Newmarket, a go-to person that would, you know, if a tree needed to be taken down, for instance, and the town could go to and, yeah, do you bless this off? It's, that was kind of the plan, is to create a tree warden. The state has RSAs in, as far as these things. And it would be nice to have a tree warden, because right now there's no one who says it has any kind of responsibility for the trees in this community. I guess maybe the highway department, but there's
We're
sometimes
talking
there's
about
questions that
town-owned
arise,
properties.
yes, only on town-owned properties.
Oh, and in the road right of ways as
Correct,
well?
yes. So let's say, you know, it was a tree on a corner here over a sidewalk, and it had a huge dead branch, and it's, you know, imminently gonna come down. Somebody could point and say, you know, that has to be taken down, it's a public safety concern. And it would, you know, it would somehow get done before it became a problem. Maybe somebody's doing some development in town and needs to know what kind of trees the community prefers to plant, or do we have a program in place for that? You know, it's just basically, it's somebody to go to regarding the trees in the community, which, you know, they're a big part of our community, and I think, you know, no one has taken the responsibility for the trees in this community. And we really don't have any plan, not that we need an extensive plan, but I think that, you know, somebody needs to take the responsibility, and what better than the Conservation Commission? And I know in the past you have had concerns about liability, et cetera. And I don't want this to become, you know, like a sticking point as far as, you know, I don't want to be tree Nazis by any means, and, you know, tell people they have to take the trees down, or they have to plant a specific tree.
Or that they can't take a tree down.
That's correct.
when they're-
It's not really that, that's not the intention.
Because we had that come up.
Also, I personally would like to see the town of Newmarket become a Tree City USA applicant. And as part of that application process, there's some very, you know, there's a few stipulations. One is that you have a tree warden, a tree committee. You celebrate Arbor Day, which, that's no big deal. You know, you designate one day a year to be Arbor Day. You plant a tree, you do some sort of little thing. Maybe you go to the school, and, you know, even decorating a Christmas tree is considered an observation of that day. And the other thing is you have to expend so much money on trees a year, but we always meet that just in maintenance costs. Because just about any expenditure on trees goes towards that criteria, that dollar amount. So, you know, any money that PSNH spends on maintaining the trees in the town spends on cleaning up branches, chipping branches, whatever. We always seem to meet that.
So we can get those numbers from Rick.
And I have in the past, and so we always meet that.
So I'd like to make the motion that we make Jim Bergeron the tree warden.
I'll make the motion. Can we make him the tree warden? Or are we establishing, do we already have the tree committee?
Jim has
Under the
been on the
commission?
The tree committee really hasn't been active ever since we decided on the trees for the downtown. We really haven't met since, and I'm sure more of that is my fault, because we really haven't had any kind of direction since then. I will tell you that the trees in the downtown, there's some issues with those, and we're going to need to address those. I think my impression is that we're going to probably much just get an expert in to tell us what would do the best in those areas that we've created.
I don't recall, without having looked at the minutes, whether or not we formalized a tree committee under the Conservation Commission. And maybe that's the first step in having Jim the chair of that committee.
I
Because
believe you
you've got
did.
some-
We did almost over a year ago.
Yeah, it was formalized as a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission. As far as chairman or anything like that, no, there's no such thing.
I thought you were just the head of it.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
your,
I don't know
it was
what you
your
want to
baby to
call it.
carry.
Yeah.
So can we
Kinda dropped the baby a
automatically
few
make
times.
anyone the tree warden?
The
How does that
person
work?
basically the criteria for tree warden is someone that has an interest in the trees of the community. They really make it very easy to be a tree warden. You don't have to have specific training or,
So by us, voting to authorize, to name someone as the tree warden in town, does that give them any rights under the statute to do anything at this point in time?
there's very specific state RSAs that we can adopt if you wish, and I can bring those in. There's several of them. And you can kind of pick and choose. I mean, you can go from wild to mild with this. You can,
So would that be the next step?
well,
Or
I
if
don't
we-
want to speak for the other committee members. I mean, like I said, I don't want this to be a, a hostile takeover by any means. So,
Why don't you
it
bring
is-
those
Just for the
RSAs
comfort
in?
of the public, what I'm trying to say here is, by the commission, Conservation Commission, voting to name a tree warden for the town of Newmarket, does that give that particular official
specific
any
rights right off the
specific
bat.
rights without having public hearings?
I would say no, because we really haven't stipulated what those responsibilities are. By merely being a tree warden, I think, if you'd like to wait until the next meeting, I will bring that information in if you're more comfortable waiting.
I have no problems voting for it, I just want.
Well, but
the-
to answer your
you know,
question, let's just make sure that there are no specific tasks that I am allowed to do, or that person would be allowed to do,
Or
that you would be
required,
uncomfortable
or
with.
required to do.
Or required to do. That's a better way of
So why
saying
don't
it.
you bring in the RSAs for the next meeting?
I will, and we can do some homework on this before we decide. How's that? Jim?
Did you check with Durham? They've had a tree warden for a long time.
They do. They do, and several communities do. Actually, the bulk of many, or the majority of communities around us have some sort of tree committee or tree warden or tree program.
Why don't we put it then, actually as an agenda item, and then it's publicly noticed, so that next meeting, we're
That's a good idea.
voting to have to name a tree warden.
Not only that, but I would love it if we had like an arborist in the community or someone interested in doing that, taking the reins. I have no problem with that either. Somebody with some technical expertise. If they would like to step forward, that's fine. I just think that the trees in this community never really have had anybody on their side. I'd like to see even just some sort of committee created for them.
No, I agree, particularly with all the investment that's just been made in the trees on Water Street and downtown.
Right. When decisions have to be made, somebody should be in place to make them, I guess.
And Bruce, can we maybe reference that particular RSA so that it's on the agenda, and then if the public has questions, then even before the meeting, they can go online and see what this really is all about.
I'm going to
And I'm sure
refer
we
Jim
can all
to
do
the
that before the
RSAs. You
meeting.
have them?
I do at home.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I think it's like 134 or something. I'll bring them all in. I have a big
Bring them in.
packet. You can look at all the RSAs that have to do with trees and pick and choose or
Which ones we want?
reject the entire lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Or we can just all read it online ahead of time.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Email it home.
I will.
It'll be up to us to do the reading. Okay, we got tree committee. Is anybody interested in becoming the rep to LRAC?
I thought Fred was.
Yeah. He was. Haven't seen Fred for 4 meetings. And I mean, he's, like everyone else, he's had the flu and holidays and everything else, to be fair about it, but.
He was here in October, wasn't
No,
he? No?
it's in the minutes. He was absent. Excused. So,
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't been well. So-
Speaking for myself, I do not have an interest in applying to be an LRAC member.
have
I got enough on my plate right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff?
It
Not right now.
it would be great to get a landowner on that, committee, a Newmarket resident that owns land on the Lamprey River. I mean, I'll disclose that I do now, but I've already talked to Sharon and would, just involve with all the other organizations, I just can't do it.
That's,
But
Well,
we have a lot of waterfront land on the
Right,
Lamprey
well,
River, and
and
it'd be good
if
to
you
have.
know anyone in your neighborhood, so to speak,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
feel free to
Yeah, they could,
give somebody a little elbow.
But I mean, there's a lot of people like down in, maybe down at Twin Rivers or the River Ridge condos that might have an interest.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe, why don't I talk to Sharon about,
Outreach.
to those communities.
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's about as far as the committees. I'll just go over what I have received. I'll go from there. Oh, first on my agenda. We have a bill from the Southeast Land Trust in Hampshire for doing the monitoring reports, the Hilton property. There's one. I thought they did one other one too. I've got it here. That came to $179.95. Bring in for payment. I can do that for the treasurer, I think.
You may.
Huh?
Yep.
If you could do that. And I will file the reports. That done.
Bruce, are those reports online?
I doubt it.
Were they emailed over? They just? or-
They were sent,
Okay.
snail mail, which works.
What do those reports contain?
They just do an inventory, monitoring the properties, like the Hilton property. It's an easement, correct, George? It's not an ownership, it's just an easement. So they go around, make sure no one infringes on the boundaries, no one's been cutting without the, you have a management plan for cutting,
Mhm.
correct, and that type of thing.
Be sure there's no buildings been erected.
So it's just a monitoring?
It's an annual easement monitor.
That's the only one that did?
I thought I had another one here for
Well, I'm very remiss in not following up
They didn't do
George
it.
with doing Nostrum.
It might still already be here. Hold on.
They do Silverman? No.
How are we doing with monitoring of other properties?
Well, that's another thing we have to
Do
do.
one.
We need to do,
This is a great time of year to access property.
we're supposed to do the Wigan Farm and Loisel property, Silverman Snare property. We're supposed to do those before the end of the year,
I guess we better get going.
so we've got to get going on them. The sidewalk is on the 23rd. Possibly the next Saturday, we could, no, I've got one on the Wigan Farm.
Yeah, I think, I believe there are 4 that we have to do.
We're not gonna be able to do those all in one day.
Because
I had it here. Because there were some exceptions on the Wigan Farm, with the abutters, storing stuff on our property. And the person that did it, spoke with the homeowners. Where is it?
Yeah, Wigan and Loisel, because they were the L-chip, those reports were due by the end of the year.
Right, and the Wigan one has been done, I just can't find it.
I'm sure it's on that Same file?
Yeah. We did both.
That's from
Yeah,
Diane.
that file.
This pile.
Ellen and the guy from Fish and Game and me did Wigan Farm.
It was a while back, wasn't it?
A year ago.
A year ago.
Last year.
This is just George's
Okay.
property. Yeah.
I have no problem walking Loisel and whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I can mark Loisel on Sunday. Do we have a form that we're supposed to fill out?
Yeah,
There is.
the form, Bruce, you have that from Ray Ilg,
Yeah, and that's what,
the blank form.
If somebody gives me a blank form, I'll go there on Sunday and I'll fill it out and it'll be done.
okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
Anytime I'll go to.
I have that form. I think you,
I'll double check.
you had requested that from,
I'll look.
it's in my box.
Okay.
I'll get it to you, Drew. Yeah.
Do you have it electronically though?
I think I might have that, or Ray Ilg will get it. I'll get that for you.
Does anyone,
Is that Sunday?
yeah,
What time?
uh,
Oh,
yeah, that was gonna be my
Okay.
next question. What time do we want to do?
Reply
Pick
all.
a time?
Probably the earlier the better.
9?
9 o'clock
Does that work?
on Sunday, this Sunday.
Sunday the 17th?
and this is Loisel.
Yes.
Yeah, the weed fund has been done. I do have.
So that's the only one we're required to do by the end of the year is Loisel?
Not Schneer.
Sullivan Sneer property should be done also. You can catch up on that.
Are those different reports? Ray only refers to Wigan Farm and Loisel. Is it because Southeast Land Trust is under contract to do the other two?
Mm.
Those are the only ones he referenced that were due.
Who?
This guy, the L-chip guy.
I think that's because they
Ray
only
Hill.
contributed to Wigan Farm and Piscasset River Loisel.
Right.
We already spoke about the Nature Conservancy with
So
the
here's one
reclaim.
thing.
If anybody's interested, the map here of the Nature Conservancy, the reclaiming of that gravel pit. That's right there. Get the little stuff out of the way, and then we'll get to that. Don't let me forget that. Application 10. This was a non-application. They didn't need what they thought they did. The state just gave them an explanation, and they reviewed it and took care of it. It looks like it's a septic system replacement. That's what it sounded like. Okay, guys, this is the good one. David and Daphne Fortatis Moskoff? Did I say that right?
David Moskoff, Daphne Foliatis.
Fortiatis, yes. Called, I was supposed to bring this up at the last meeting. They called and wanted me to rescind the signing of dredge and fill for the Nature Conservancy of removing the building and the foundation and filling that in on the premise that they don't own the property and it's an illegal subdivision. And we went round and round, and since I couldn't bring it up at the last meeting to get everybody's input, I went on the belief that the Nature Conservancy brought in a valid plans to us, and they did own it. since they went through and purchased the property, and they, like everyone else, have to get some kind of title and registration at the county deeds, so I refuse to rescind that pigeon, Phil. Under that idea that I thought the Nature Conservancy was up legal and what they did was legal. I've been since told that I'm in contempt of court. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
What property is that?
The Nature Conservancy, the property they purchased on, from the Pittman family?
Yeah, but let me just recuse myself from a discussion of the subject as a Conservation Commission member, because I represented the family in the sale of that to the
Okay,
Conservancy.
sure, that makes sense.
So just
But if you could, if I get something wrong, please tell
It's,
me.
Bayview Drive
Bayview Drive.
off of Bay Road.
It's 17 and 20 Bayview Drive. This has been going on for years. I think Jeff had a little bit of run-in also there. So don't be surprised if there's more paperwork coming in for that. I've been told, you know, that the town is going to take care of whatever has to be done. And I think, Jim, I don't know if the town council has any communications with them?
We're aware of the case. I don't know if we're really that heavily involved with it at the moment.
Okay, but you do know about it?
I do.
Ed Winowski knows about it, I've talked to him.
That's correct.
I've talked to Diane Hardy, and their comments to me were just don't do anything right now and see which way it goes. So that's what we're doing. Okay, another item. I was contacted by the Nature Conservancy. A few years back, we made a donation of $13,000 for one of their projects. The project came through under budget, so we're supposed to be getting a refund. Haven't seen it yet. It was supposed to be sent out a little over a week ago now, but we'll be looking for that, and I'll let you know how much it is, because I don't know how much it is.
That wouldn't have been the $2,000 we were wondering about earlier, was it?
In your budget?
I think,
just
I
curious.
thought it
think
was
it's
on the
that
order of 900 and
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you had sent an email around about
Yeah.
that.
It was
It
less than
wasn't a lot of money.
$1,000,
Yeah.
but
I mean, relative to the,
I haven't seen the check, don't know if it came in. No one in the office seems to know where it is. And this is part of it. In fact, Fred was the chairman at the time, so it wasn't ways, it was in 202. Okay, New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Membership dues. I don't know, do we need, I just thought I should bring it up to the commission to pay these. I don't know if we need a motion, but I think we.
so moved.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Trying to just get a little bit.
Yep. This is a invoice for the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. It's membership dues. Just want the commissions okay to pay these?
Make a motion, we authorize the payment of, what's the
In the
amount?
amount of?
$275.
$275 for our 2010 New Hampshire Conservation Commission Association dues.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take care of that. Okay. I think this is the last thing we have. I'm not gonna go through and read all of this. I was approached by Diane Hardy yesterday, and you can look through that if you want. Let's see if I can get to that. The state DOT and USGS planning to do a flyover of the state this year to create 1-foot high-resolution aerial photographs, and offering to provide a greater resolution of 6 inches, which flown at a lower altitude. It would help the town in monitoring different properties. Also, the buildings, online buildings, topographical specific points, edges of pavement, and code enforcement for the town. The total cost is $4,800. And apparently, she didn't have a lot of help with the budget committee on that $4,800. Now, they do have a proposal from Cynthia Copeland of the SRPC, New Hampshire Coastal Programs, to spring for half of the $4,800. Erica still can't, I bet she still doesn't hear me well. So, I'm sorry.
Do you want her to come closer?
You can come closer. They were trying to get this to start up by February, but they have to have a commitment for the money.
Where did this originate from?
Where did this originate from? This is from the planning board office, I believe, with Diane. Wanted to know if we wanted to
I was at the budget
fund out of this.
budget committee the other day when we were discussing this. Basically, the state does a flyover and provides you with the images for free at a 1-foot resolution. And they're willing to fly over again for this extra cost and give us a 6-inch resolution, which gives you a clearer picture of the community. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not in favor only because I don't really know what we would use it for, where we would get our monies back from it.
Right.
That's all. I
And
mean,
the
I may be
budget-
wrong.
The budget committee declined it.
Correct. Well, yes, but I guess, and the other thing is, you would have to fly over every so often to make this you need a baseline, and then you need to be able to compare something to the baseline. So you would have to continue on with this for it to be of any use, because otherwise, you know how things change so
Right.
rapidly that it would be unusable after a certain period of time.
After a few years.
Yeah. So you're actually committing to it.
Can you?
But we get it for free anyways at a 1-foot resolution. So.
Okay, that's what I wanted you, I heard you say free at 1 foot.
That's correct. It's just giving you a better resolution. Am I saying
Yeah.
anything that you?
So the 1 foot's free, the 6 inch is 4,800.
That's correct.
Okay, see, I didn't.
And the state's
hear
gonna
that.
do it whether you want them to or not.
They do it anyways.
They're gonna do the 1 foot.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and DES is
It's kinda
going to use
screwy,
it
isn't it?
for monitoring and enforcement actions.
I was not informed of the free 1-foot resolution.
No, but the whole idea, I'm against the whole idea. Why should they be flying over private property, taking pictures?
Well, I'm not sure.
DES is going to use it
That's-
for
They can
enforcement
get that
regulations.
from satellites, can't they?
I'm not
I
sure what
believe at the
resolution.
I don't know what the resolution
I don't believe at the resolution or.
But you get the free 1-foot resolution, which is, if you look at the pictures, I mean, I don't know, as a conservation commission, what we really would gain from that, if we got the better resolution, or whether we periodically use the aerial maps to look at our properties. I know we have in the past, like on the Loisel for trail mapping, but we don't need very specific, like, oh, there's that boulder we're looking for, type pictures.
6-inch resolution's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to me like that's military resolution.
That's almost infringing.
And you can see edges of curbing and
Yeah,
all,
it
but
is.
that, but not,
It is.
for us, I don't see the extra.
Big Brother is watching enough.
So, we will tell her we're not interested.
Well, I vote
I'm getting that
Speak.
feeling. I
vote.
don't think we need to.
I'd be interested in the 1-foot resolution.
That's
We'll get it anyway.
Right, but
I was not aware
enough.
of the free 1 foot until you just said that. That's why I wanted you to back up.
And you can look at the pictures you just passed out. It
Yeah.
has the 1-foot resolution, which, I mean,
Oh,
I
nice.
personally, I think it's good enough for what we need.
Well,
We
this
ever
is
need-
this picture is,
That's the,
that's a 6-inch.
Yeah,
And
there you
that's
go.
the 1 foot.
it is definitely clearer, but whether you're getting
Well,
much of
but
an
in-
advantage to that.
Drew, you want to see?
And we're not an enforcement arm of the town.
The one that's
If-
open
if
to the.
The code enforcement officer is looking for this for violations, that's not the conservation
That's
commission.
not our spot to be. I agree with you.
I mean, it can be used to determine forest types and stuff like that, if you're looking at, you know, because we could overview, but I think at 1 foot you can tell anyway. As opposed to 6.
I don't know that the extra magnification, I mean, you can see the difference in that photograph, but you can do pretty well at the 1 foot.
Doesn't it looks like it's the same picture.
it is.
It's
That's
the
a
same,
different
It's the
resolution.
same.
but they're just giving you
Better
a
resolution.
comparison by giving you the same building twice.
Okay, I'm getting the feeling that we should just table this.
Table it or?
Well,
Just say
get
no.
rid of it?
get rid of it, say no to it, correct?
I agree. I don't think anybody here is in favor of it at the moment, but
Is anybody in
if
favor?
there is anybody, speak up.
It has its uses, but perhaps not for the conservation commission.
Okay. We'll just not interested.
Gee, the map of the whole town of Newmarket done at that would be huge, humongous, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see 'em? You couldn't put it on these tables, right?
Oh, the photos?
Yeah, if you did the whole town in 1 foot,
Yeah, they would,
it'd be huge, right?
if you were to plot the whole town, you will.
Okay, one last thing on mine.
It's true.
Okay, the Trust for Public Land is doing asking for money. I don't know that we ever contributed to this in the past. But, you know, it was presented to us, so I'm gonna ask what people's thoughts are if we want to make a contribution to and I don't know that we really can.
What's their
Yeah, I don't mean, we're,
What do they do?
Well, I mean, they do what we do, the Nature Conservancy, they protect land, but I think our money has to be spent
Locally.
locally,
I
so
agree. Yep.
I'm gonna trash this with everybody's permission.
Right. Whoever's been through that.
Okay. Pay this bill.
Sounds it, no.
You have a bill to pay?
Yeah, do you want me to
Can you
go?
do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Cool. We're done with that.
did you get,
Go ahead.
never mind. You have another bill to pay. We already approved that one, right?
Which one would that be?
Because we need to make sure we have motions to approve every expenditure.
So we did make a motion for the 275
Yeah.
for the membership dues.
Yeah.
Did we make an actual motion for the 179.95? Do you remember?
No,
Erica,
Did we do that, Erica?
No.
no.
So. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the expenditure of $179.95 to the Southeast Land Trust in New Hampshire for the monitoring of the Hilton Conservation Easement.
Second?
First, Jim.
I don't believe I'll vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Thank you.
Keep
Yeah,
Dawn
they
off
should.
our back.
Yeah.
It's too bad the conservation couldn't do.
We could.
It's a,
Instead of
it's,
paying
it's
people.
money thrown down a rat hole. Because you could come on my land anytime you want to. It's open for recreation. It's not posted. The boundaries are all pinned. The boundaries are all blazed. It's got conservation easement signs on all around it.
So you're saying that you don't like the thought that we're paying someone to monitor our properties?
That we
Yeah.
could fill out the report.
I agree. I do agree that. I think we could just walk our own properties, and why
Right.
shouldn't we?
I know when the easement was first drawn up, they had this agreement with, it was Rockingham Land Trust then, right?
Mhm, correct.
And when Karen Rubin came to do it this year, she called me on the phone and she said, I may be remiss, she said, but I thought that had gone by the board and Conservation was gonna do it themselves from last year on. But she said, it seems to be still in our ballpark to do. And I didn't question her when she came, and I didn't say anything more to her about it, but I certainly think that,
In a way, we're slacking on our responsibilities and paying somebody else to do them.
well, yeah, but that was an agreement.
In some towns choose to do that. They hire
That's
a
what the-
professional that does
that's
this
what the
monitoring and does
council
the
or
reports
whoever-
for all their land.
Agreed to at that time, but that was in '04, I think, that happened.
Well, if
So-
the form isn't really that difficult to fill out, correct? I've seen the form before, and it's just a basic little spreadsheet type form, right? So it's just a matter of us just getting our boots on and going out and
Did
walking
she
properties.
send a copy of her,
Yes.
and it's lengthy, right?
Yeah.
A number
Pictures.
of pages,
With pictures.
Okay.
pictures and everything.
So is that over and above what our requirement is though, correct?
I can't say.
The requirement is there's a form, and Val has seen it, I've seen it, and I have it here.
Is it different for
That's-
easements that the
And who's gonna
town
get it?
owns,
I don't think
other
so.
than like Wigan Farm?
No, I think it's exactly the
Same
same.
thing?
The one that did Wiggins, might have been the same person. She included pictures.
Yep.
She did stop and talk with the landowners about.
Karen?
Yep.
Was there L-chip money on yours? Is that why the monitoring gets done, or it was just part of the original
No.
management
So-
plan that's monitored?
I think it was just part of the original management plan.
Who sent us the monitoring report from Southeast Land
Southeast
Trust?
Land, Karen Rubin.
Southeast
Karen Rubin?
Land Trust. Yeah.
That's her name, the lady that does it. She works for
Brian Hart?
Brian Hunt.
Brian, okay. So this it's gotta be on the computer.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't we ask her to email us over that written report and and distribute it to all the members so we can all see what the reports really are, instead of passing one around. We can just look at it
It's-
online.
What she does is much more lengthy than what
Is
we do.
required.
Yeah, I would say.
But I guess what I'm getting at is that if we're not all like distributing the report and it's being done, but we're not really looking at it, are we getting what we're paying for? I mean, do we really need that? Are we paying for something we don't use? It's kind of like that 6-inch resolution. Are we
Right.
paying somebody to do a report that we don't really need?
Well, it needs to be done.
I know the monitoring has to be done, but is that just something that we could all do ourselves? I mean, we just spent $179 monitoring the property, which is basically walking the property. I'm not, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they didn't do a good job, I'm sure they did a
She
wonderful job.
She does an excellent job.
I know that.
But it's way
But is it something
over
that
and
we need
beyond.
to actually do to meet the criteria that we've put in place
Right.
for that property?
It
That I
needs-
don't know.
It needs, we can do it, it needs to be done in a timely fashion.
She does it every November.
Right.
And
I
I
mean-
think it gets back to, are we each gonna adopt a place
I would,
and
yeah.
make sure that that management plan is implemented?
Because we can do that with the
before it's
parks.
done.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I would suggest that we leave well enough alone
Yeah.
where we're succeeding. And if we're able to successfully monitor the other properties
Right.
and
Then we can expand on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
get all that established and operational, then maybe we can expand it
Well,
to
then
the
we'll-
Wigan property as well.
Then what we start
Or
slow
to
and maybe
the
take
Hilton
on, we definitely do 2 or 3 properties, let's say, and then let them do the remainder, and if we feel confident enough to do the others, we could take that on eventually.
Right now, they're only doing one.
I thought we were doing 2.
They're doing
They're
two.
doing
Okay,
two.
they're doing 2.
So we need to do Loisel,
Absolutely.
we need to do Sylvan
Nostrum.
Nostrum.
And we've agreed to do Loisel.
You're going to do Loisel
We were gonna walk it.
and
Sunday night.
Sunday, correct?
Sunday night.
I know it's the size of the property that makes the amount of time that we walk it, but
Hour and a half to walk
pretty much about an hour and a half.
for that one.
We're talking about 4 properties in total that we are responsible for monitoring yearly?
Yeah.
So just 4,
I think 4 covers it.
at an hour and a half per,
5 properties.
5 properties.
Well,
Some
how many,
more.
well, you've got the bill right here.
Yeah, but I only have one for the Hilton Conservation. It doesn't state any other properties on there.
She has 5 hours.
And does it all the time.
Files are reviewed,
It's not just walking. through and
preparation,
finding
site
the
visit,
stuff.
drafting, monitoring, report, and
I just
follow-up
wanna know.
correspondence. That's to
If
us.
it's just a little form that we fill out when we have to do the site walk.
Plus, she charged for mileage, which,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I
Once
send,
again,
when I
I'll
send
say,
through,
there's nothing wrong with the bill or what she's done.
no.
Actually, it's
Yeah,
not a
no.
bad amount for what she had to do, which is 5 hours worth of work.
That's, it's an hour and a half to do the walk. And then it's a little bit of time to fill out the report, then it's a little bit of time to file a report.
I'll just, when I send you the form, I'll CC everyone so that everybody knows what this L-chip form looks like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like the tree committee,
And
we'll
that-
wait until next,
Well,
to make
keep in mind that the L-chip form is one form, and we have to submit that to L-chip for the properties that L-chip contributed money to. That doesn't mean that that is the best or the appropriate form. It's a form, it is not the
Good point.
form. That's all.
The pictures that she takes, and I haven't seen one of these reports, what is she taking pictures of?
Things that she's taken pictures of before.
So it's
So
more of
that
a
it's-
timeline that she...
Right.
Well, that is useful.
Like if I tried to sneak a building on the property, it would show up, you know.
Here we go.
And Ellen would do that for like if there's violations or things like that too,
Right.
encroachments.
If I started an excavation, we'll say, you know, tried to sneak a pit
Here,
in some way,
you start.
something like that, you know.
That's the one for the Wigan Farm. I found, it was in camp, it was right out in the open. I think the idea about starting slow is a good idea. Let's do the
Yeah.
2. And continue from that. And if we feel we can do more, we'll save the $200. There should be the page that we're looking for should be in here.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. That's not the page that Bill. Okay, any old or new business to take care of besides these?
There's a bill before the legislature on current use, that if they pass it, that any of the open lands associated with, like open space subdivisions, the common lands, if it's not a condominium association, is now going to be subject to a current use penalty. So if you have something like, let's say something like Gonick Farm that has open space, and there's probably no tax, Andy's probably not having any taxes on that at this point, because it's typically in current use.
Right.
But he likes to roll those in to the market value of the individual owners. But this is a specific bill before the state.
So what happens to that piece of property, say the Gonick Drive?
And just using that as an example, I don't know exactly
I don't know if they have any
how their common land is held. But as a homeowners association, that might have this common land associated with it because it was a cluster development.
Right.
Okay, that common land is actually in current use or not being taxed.
Right.
This
If
bill,
it's 10 acres or more,
correct.
is that right?
Right, to qualify for current use.
Right.
This bill is before the legislature that would be subject to current use or current use penalty.
So they're
So
gonna have
I'll-
to pay a fine or?
I
like
don't know. It's
Yearly
just that
tax?
that was just.
Space will be
the
there.
bill. So we just might wanna, I'll just keep following that.
That would be interesting.
Because the commission gets 50% of any current use penalties, correct?
Mhm.
Assessed
That's
from
the
the
reason I
town.
brought it up.
Right.
That would be just a one-time
Mhm.
deal. And then that land would be taxed at some higher rate than it is now.
It may not be being taxed now. For instance, the common land at Moody Point is not taxed.
No?
I don't believe any, and I'd have to look at each one of the things.
My land is in current use and it's taxed,
At a,
it's taxed,
At current use rates.
Yeah.
Which is lower, but.
which is
But it's
drastically
still taxed.
lower.
Right.
But it's still
It's still
taxed.
taxed, yeah.
Right. But there is a law that allows a town assessor to, like in a condominium association, or a cluster type development association, where, because the owners all have a percentage interest in that as your, part of your deed, that because we're being taxed at fair market value
Mhm.
for a property, that part of that value is the ownership in the common land.
I see. Okay.
But there is a lot going on with current use legislation, as particularly as the state's looking for more money.
Well, luckily Space, the organization Space is very active. They have good leadership and,
And that's actually where the report came from.
right. Yeah, I get a newsletter every, I don't know, monthly. I don't think it's monthly, but. The only one I know that's on that commission is Eric Sawtell. But there's a long list.
And just to follow up on that, as Wynn said, maybe for the public out there, if anyone out here in Newmarket has land in current use, I would recommend visiting the Space website. It's
Definitely.
Space.org.
Space.org. Okay.
Yes, period.
Yes. Gary, yeah.
Okay. The only thing else that I would like to see is, especially before spring, is that we update, go through the pamphlets for the Heron Point, Wigan Farm, and that. I know Ellen had started a year or so ago. I think we need to bring this up because we're running out of a lot of them. And we've had requests for some. And I think we're down to just a few, Heron Point and a few others, so.
Yeah, there's none at Wigan Farm.
Do we have
it's-
masters for all of them somewhere?
You know, I don't know.
We didn't take all of the originals, did we?
I bet we did.
No, that's too bad.
Or they may be on a disc someplace. I don't know. But I can talk with Lynn. He might have some idea on, not Lynn, I'm sorry.
Fred?
No, Will Hammond.
Yeah.
He may know something about that, where he can.
Yeah, somebody was in charge of that
Yeah.
back along.
I want to say it was, well, she's not with us that long time. Was it Brad Jules' wife?
It was Elizabeth, wasn't it?
Dudley?
Elizabeth?
Remember her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a long time ago. That was like 2.5 years ago.
I don't know.
That's
Well,
something
Fred
we let
might-
slip by.
Fred might know too.
Well, I should probably give Fred a call.
Yeah, and no, if not, we'll.
I've got notes here.
Do we still have stuff in the file cabinet upstairs?
Nope, it's all down here now. Our official place is behind wall B.
If there were copies kept of those, probably in there, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
I know we had them. I wonder, talking about that space thing, if, could Dennis come to a meeting and bring us up to date as to what's happening on that?
Yeah, let me find out what the status is, because that was just in the last, report.
Yeah, I know, but they're slow.
All the bills are being filed now, aren't they?
Hopefully, they're slow.
So is there any action that we as a committee need to take on the handouts for the different properties
Well,
tonight?
no, not, I mean,
Okay.
I just would think that we need to go through the files and find them and get some
Yep.
reprinted. The cost, when we go to spend money, I think that's when we need
Right.
to okay it. But I would like to get that done, in the next month or two.
Has everyone seen the passports to Great Bay that, we usually get them over at the Great Bay Stewards. I'm not sure if Fish and Game put them together or the partnership, but within it is each of the various trail systems or reserves or lands, conservation lands, and they're just little handouts that go in that little passport package. And but you usually can pick them up at various locations. I'll bring them in next time, because that could be a good format to use. And then if you're at one conservation land, you're picking that up and you'll know the other conservation land.
Anything else? Old, new, whatever? Let's make the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.